People who quit their jobs on the first day. What was your "I'm outta here" moment? Took a summer job at a textile plant and the trainer said, "Forget about taking a break if you want to stay caught up." I got a job at a Build-A-Bear knockoff at the end of a mall that wasn't very busy. My interview with the owners was interesting. They were an older couple who said that they had wanted to open a Chick-fil-A. But you need about $1 million to do that. My first day, one other girl was working. And she didn't really talk to me. I had basically no training and she disappeared into the back. I was standing at the register area, which was underneath a giant storybook mushroom. A mother and her young son walk in and start to look at the bear skin options. I greeted them and left them to look around. They ended up leaving after a couple minutes and my coworker reappeared from the back with the cordless phone and handed it to me. It was my boss. He told me that when a customer walks in, he wants me to come out from under the mushroom to them. Come out from the mushroom. Quote. After he finished speaking to me, I hung up and went to my coworker and asked about the phone call. She said the place has cameras set up and the owners watch them from their house and call in a lot. I did not come back to work after that day. Fast food chain. I was 17. I found out during training that the place had been robbed 3 times in the past month and one employee was seriously injured. Not worth the $5 per hour. Started a new job unloading shipping containers and was told they had to be empty by midday. This was imperative because a new one was going to arrive in the early afternoon. It was a 2-man job if we both worked our asses off to get it done. Boss says, "Oh, also your offsider is off work today. You will need to get this cleared." I just walked out. Even if it was a trial by fire, I wasn't interested in working for these cunts. Fuck that. Went into an Italian restaurant for my first day of work and I got 3 red flags on the very first day. 1. The manager said he had lots of hours for me and getting shifts would be no problem. Every single other employee told me that they were struggling for hours and that they had no idea why they hired me. 2. Everyone said the manager was an asshole. Even the customers. 3. It was my first day there. And I actually had to teach the woman training me how to do 1 or 2 things. My very first job was at a little drive-in restaurant close to my high school. I showed up to work the first day. The lady said I had to pay her $50 for training. She showed me around the place and said that my pay would be $4.50 per hour as a car hop. This was in 2010. And all the tips I made went into a bucket with all the other girls' tips. At the end of the night, she counted up tips, kept 20% for herself and split the rest up evenly among every employee. Also, part of our job was 1 day a week we had to spend 4 hours cleaning her house. It seemed super shady. I literally left after listening to her go over all these rules. My dad was pissed until I explained. And another girl confirmed and my dad agreed I did the right thing. Ended up being a scam to try and get free labor. I went for a job interview as a security guard. A man and a woman asked me my name. Asked me how strong I was, then hired me and asked me to start immediately. That started alarm bells ringing. 2 questions in an interview and I am employed and working with no discussion about anything else. They took me down to their warehouse. Office interview was above it. And told me to start moving boxes from a shelf into a truck. I said hang on. The job is security, not manual labor, and then they started getting really shitty with me and saying, if you want the job then you need to do this as part of it. I was like yeah nah, I am out and walked out. Total scam. There was no job and it really pissed me off because I could have gone to another interview at that time but choose to go there instead. I was a cashier at this cafeteria for a large company in my town. The people that worked at the company would put their tips in a bucket and the people made a lot of money, so there was like 10s and 20s. The manager of the cafe wouldn't let me have any of tips because she said that cashiers couldn't be trusted, so she would ship the tip money to a church in El Paso. I immediately knew that this was a load of bullshit and I just never went back. It's also illegal, I think, to collect money for one thing but do something else with it without disclosing what it is for. Shitty motel gig in Raleigh, North Carolina when I was young and desperate for a job. Any job. Came in to relieve the cigarette hag overnight lady who told me about the bat she kept beneath the counter. Which rooms had the prostitutes and which rooms were for the genuinely lost tourists. How not to give out towels to certain people because they had 10+ people to a room and they were trying to get them to leave. While she was talking to me, one of the prostitutes came up and paid her with sweaty boob money. Also, they expected me to do laundry in the back room in between babysitting the front desk. Also to watch out for stray needles or paraphernalia in the sheets. I overheard a man in the lobby on the phone talking about how he had a friend who was in jail and he was going to hire him to kill his cousin, who was in that same jail. All in between bites of bargain bin Fruit Loops from the continental breakfast. I left. They never sent me my check for working that day and I never called to get it. Edit. It was over by Crabtree Mall area. I tried to look it up again but I think they must have torn it down and built something new over it. Probably for the best. I worked in one jail and on my first day whoever runs the investigations of prisons busted my sergeant and 5 other COs for bringing drugs and fucking male inmates. Didn't even wait till the end of my shift. I didn't quit, but it was an interview many years ago. The position was for an admin assistant. I got to the place and it was in the back of a strip mall kind of. Just a small parking lot and a forest. I go into interview and the guy tells me it is in fact not an admin position but an alarm system cold calling position. I immediately knew he was wasting my time and his but finished it out. He told me there would be a lot of evenings just him and I working. I don't think so. He also said that he loves to reward his team for good sales and always takes them to Mexico. I walked out and told my husband, BF at the time. There was no way I was taking that. I got a call for a second interview but never picked up the phone. So sketch. Not me, but I was training a new lifeguard. After our shift was mandatory staff training for our entire crew, where we practice rescues. Once she found out we actually had to practice and go in the water, she just walked out. Not really sure what kind of job she thought she had signed up for. Second day actually, but the person who was training me at a McDonald's during the summer in college was so inconsistent and would forget about me. Second day she asked me what time it is. I pointed out the wall clock and said the time. She goes, "Oh, I can't read them fancy clocks." Made me sad more than anything. I grew up in a very rural, poor area. But also I realized that she wasn't having an off day with her shitty training and would be my supervisor. Didn't go back my third day. I had a job for one day selling home security equipment door to door. The whole idea was basically to make it seem like you're doing them a service and then lock the customer into 5-year contracts. My supervisor and I were in this one home of a family that hardly some English. The father said they had been struggling with finances but my supervisor kept pushing it on them. And the customer seemed like he didn't fully understand what was going on. I couldn't in good conscience take these people that were already struggling and put them in a worse position. No AC in the delivery truck in West Texas. Eat a dick. I went into orientation for a new job as truck driver. Obviously you know you will be away from home, but this was shitty. Out on the road 30 days at a time. Then only 36 hours. Or 1.5 days at home. You only work 6 out of 7 days. So 4 of those days you just sit at the truck stop unable to move. And not getting paid. Can't bring a pet of any type. So I would only be home 18 days a year. On the road for 347 days a year. And unpaid for 52 of them. The no pets rule was the final straw for me. I will not be out 30 days alone with no little friend to keep me sane. I no-ped out of there. I delivered pizza for 1 day. At the end of the day I did the math and the tips did not cover the gas I used. They had me driving 15 miles for some deliveries and my truck gets about 20 mpg. So 30 miles round trip is 1.5 gallons, and that's not even factoring in the extra wear on my truck. Also the people were strange and they insisted that I call the one black kid who worked there Nger. John. I refused. The kid was like, "No, it's cool, that's what I call myself," and I politely declined and just called him John. My very first job was at a buffet restaurant that was popular with senior citizens and known for their desserts. I was asked to get another coconut cream pie from the back, and as I was getting it out of the fridge, another employee bumped into me and I dropped it on the floor. Pie side down. This employee's someone who'd worked there for years. Solution was to just scrape off all the whipped topping and replace it. I was horrified. They served pie that had been on the extremely dirty floor and never went back. Edit to add. Since you all are guessing. It was a local place, not any of these chains you're guessing. I was hired to be a waitress, which has a lower hourly wage due to tips. The entire shift they had me wash dishes in the sink, but paid me waitress wages. A few months later, the restaurant was investigated for a number of fraud activity. I thought I was in shape, so took a second job loading trucks at FedEx. Boxes come at you so fast. It's hot. Some are heavy AF. Never came back after one shift.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.